All right, students, I'm back. Hopefully, all is good now. Let me know if you're having trouble seeing me. All right, it looks like the stream is back and it's healthy. Good. All right. Hopefully, I still have some of you with me. Yeah, patience is a good practice. Hi, Rekha. All right, students. So back to this IELTS writing task 2 for the IELTS. All right. So I thought I'd pick a fun question or an interesting question or a controversial question for today's class. Let's take a look. So here it is, IELTS writing task 2. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. It is worth 2/3 of your writing score, so make sure that you spend the 40 minutes on this task. Let's read the question. Some governments believe that standard tests of English are necessary for immigration, work, and school, while many people feel that this is just for making money and should not be mandatory. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. Use explanations and give examples from your own knowledge or experience. All right. So, students, what's the first step when you see the question? What do you need to do? You should always begin by planning. And what is your first step for planning your essay? Okay, so you want to plan your essay, planning. And step number 1 is what? Hi, Ada Empress. Welcome for your first time on our General IELTS Help YouTube channel. Hi, Begzod. So what should I do with this? I am back. Yeah, I'm not sure what the technical issue was. I think it was something in one of the software that's running. All right, so paraphrase. Yeah, absolutely. So I want to paraphrase this question, okay? Anthony, I'm far from any body paragraph yet. So I want to paraphrase the question. So let's do that now. So paraphrasing, students, means to write the question in your own words. So here it says some governments believe, okay? Another way to write that is certain authorities and we don't need a capital on that. So certain authorities ascertain. Okay. So certain authorities ascertain means the same as some governments believe, that standard tests of English are necessary for immigration, work, and school. So say that in your own words. The reason you want to paraphrase the task 2 question, students, is to make sure you clearly understand the question. Also, you improve your vocabulary, you show your lexical resource, and you collect good vocabulary to use in your essay. Okay, so that's why you want to paraphrase the question before you do anything else. Okay, paraphrase the question, especially when you're practicing at home, but you should do it even in the official IELTS exam. And it should only take you about 1 minute to do this. Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase while you do the same. Remember that this essay has to be at least 250 words. So certain authorities ascertain that normalized exams of English are needed for At the same time, many individuals think or believe that these tests are just for turning a profit and should not be expected. Write about both sides and what you believe. Okay? So Begzod says certain governments ascertain that average test in English language is vital for going overseas, finding a job, or going for study, whereas other people believe that this is just for money and need not be compulsory. Very nice, Begzod. Nice paraphrase of the word mandatory with the word compulsory. Okay? Toyanath Sharma, pay attention to this class. It will definitely help you to go from a band 6 to that band 7, okay? So a lot of the skills that I'm showing you here are designed exactly for that improvement from band 6 up to band 7, okay? All right, so Smith Reddy says, English-speaking countries prefer to make it stringent for immigrant aspirants to appear for English exams. So Smith, that's a really good start. Okay, that's a really good start for a paraphrase. Good. So now we're sure that we understand the question. So some governments believe that standard tests of English are necessary for immigration, work, and school, while many others feel that this is just for making money and should not be mandatory. Pay very careful attention to this part. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. So you have to talk about both sides, okay? So our next step for this task 2 question is to think critically about both sides, okay? So when you have the question as discuss both views, you need to think critically about both sides. So step 2, remember it's discuss both sides. So think critically about both sides. Okay, let's think about the first question, which is why do governments make these exams mandatory? Okay, so what's the answer? What do you think, students? So why do you think a government makes it compulsory, thank you Begzod for that word, to have a certain level or score on these English exams? Why did the government say that you need this? Okay, why don't they make it an option, or why isn't it just not needed? All right. Rekha, that's a good paraphrase too. Certain administrative opinions are that standard exams must be completed for immigration, while others believe that this is just to earn a profit for business. Okay, so Sussman believes that the reason is so that they can feel comfortable in the country. Okay, sure. Yeah, we can take that. So what else? Why do you think that like the government of Canada or UK? So Kesra says, well, they would find it hard to fit in otherwise. Yeah, so maybe instead of Kesra, you should always think of the positive side rather than the negative side. So difficulty functioning, right? So the positive side, Kesra, would be to function well in society. Okay. Um, Begzod says easy to communicate, mainly to solve barrier among residents. Okay, students, always take your critical thinking one step ahead, right? And don't forget those fundamental features of human societies, right? Why isn't it just okay for a million people from around the world to move to Canada, and instead of using English, just learn English in Canada? So they move to Canada and they don't know English. We have a million immigrants. They go to Canada, they don't speak English, and they learn English in Canada. What's the difference learning English in Canada versus learning English before going to Canada? Okay? So think about that. So always try to think outside the box, all right? You have to remember these governments haven't lost their minds, and they're very wealthy governments, some of them, so they don't really need that few $100s from each person to have more wealth. It's relatively not a lot of money for them. So Begzod says that there's problems there. What kind of problems, Begzod, what kind of problems do you think it might create if people don't speak English in the country? Crime maybe, but that's not the bigger issue. What do you think happens? So why do so many people need English before they go to the country rather than learning it in the country? Okay, Igul, now you're on the right track. So Igul says because there's no jobs for them, right? So cannot work. Yeah, so it's a very small chance that people will be able to get jobs. Okay, sure. So what happens if they cannot work? So keep thinking one step, and then you come up with a really good idea for your essay. When you have a good idea for your essay, you can write much faster, you can write much better, and you can get a higher band score. Okay? Keep thinking. I still haven't seen. So Igul says they will be beggars. Bagzod says that they will not have money to sustain life. So in Canada, usually people are not allowed to, well, they're protected from just being homeless. So countries like Canada or Germany or UK, they do everything in their power to prevent people from being poor and homeless. So you can imagine, as Farhan Zaidi is saying, so Farhan Zaidi has hit the nail on the head, as the idiom goes, that they become a liability for the country. Farhan Zaidi, very nice way to coin that. So that is what you're searching for. That's the information you're searching for. Yeah, so it's all connected. So the big issue is if you have a country like Canada with 30 million people and you have 1 million people move to Canada that don't speak English, and the 30 million has to take care of the 1 million and pay for food, housing, and other expenses, that becomes a massive tax burden. So one of the key steps to avoid this is to make sure that people moving to Canada can integrate into society by using the local language, being able to find work, being productive, and then instead of being a liability for that country, they become an asset. So that's the goal of these standard English exams, to make sure that that happens, okay? Remember, the reason many people move to Canada is they want a better life. It's difficult to provide a better life without speaking English, okay? So that's the key aspect of this. That's the main reason. So, okay, some good ideas there. So why do governments make these exams mandatory so immigrants can feel a certain level of comfort, so that they don't have as much culture shock, so that they can function well in society, so that they are an asset and not a liability. Okay? Those are the big reasons. Sure. Okay, so why do you think some people believe that it's just for business? Let's look at the other side. Remember, you have to discuss both views. So why is it that some believe that it's just for business, just big business? Okay, Subodh says governments want intelligent people who can, excuse me, communicate. Yeah, that's true too. So a certain level of education also, absolutely, for the previous one. It shows education and ambition. Yeah, Asta, Sharma, I agree. So some good ideas there. Let's look at the other side. Why do some people think that these English exams are just for making money? Why do you think some people say that? And I hear that all the time. So even in our YouTube videos, you can see that some students like to comment that IELTS is just a big business. It's just for making money. Okay, Farhan says it's because they fail constantly on the exams. Sure. So, because the exams are difficult. And some students need to take them several times. Yeah. Okay, sure. Aigul, very good. Yeah, because it's expensive, right? Because the exam is expensive. Yeah, sure. Rekha says because they have to appear again and again. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Any other reason? One reason, and it's a valid reason, is because they're not a perfect test. They're not perfect tests of English. Okay, and that's true. It's very, very difficult to test a person's language ability in 3 hours or in a 12-minute speaking interview. Okay, I agree with that. In a perfect situation, the IELTS exam, and some of you are going to go, would be a whole day. So it'd be like a 15, 16-hour exam, and you'd have to sit and read for hours and hours, maybe with some breaks. You'd have to write at least 4 or 5 essays on different topics. You'd have to speak to maybe 2 or 3 different examiners for 30, 40 minutes each on a lot of different topics. And then you would get a much more accurate measure of your English ability. So it would be a 15 or a 16-hour IELTS exam. But the reason is that they don't do that is because then the exam would probably cost $2,000 or $3,000 and not $300. Okay. Okay, Farhan says it's big business these days. While there are some experts, the market is full of quacks. I think quacks is spelled a little bit different, Farhan, who make the reputation doubtful. Yeah, that's true too. All right. Okay. Okay, students, so we have some good answers here now. So we've talked about both sides. So why do governments make these exams mandatory? Sure. Why do some people think that it's just for making a lot of money? We have some good answers there. What comes next before you start writing? Okay, so step number 3, what should I do now? So good, okay, I'm doing this quickly. By the way, in the real exam, only 3 minutes. So 3 minutes for the paraphrasing and for thinking about point 1, point 2. So before the hook, Kesra, you need to do what Farhan, Rekhan, Begzad are saying. You need to formulate your thesis. Okay, so formulate your thesis. And of course, don't forget to add your opinion. Okay, always pay close attention to the original question. It says discuss both views and give your own opinion. Okay, so that's what we need to do. We need to now write our thesis statement, which is the argument, and give our own opinion. So please do that. Write the thesis statement. I'm going to do the same. Okay, I'm being a little bit quiet so you can think about your thesis statement. Okay, don't just pay attention to what I'm doing. This is your time to practice as well. Okay, just a second, I'll get you back on screen. All right, I'm going to picture my daughter a couple years back. There we go. Okay, waiting for those thesis statements. Students, waiting for those thesis statements. All right. Okay, so I have my thesis statement up. Okay. Although some people believe normalized tests of English are for profit, as these exams are expensive and difficult, in my opinion, they are necessary to empower students and immigrants to make money and feel comfortable. Okay, that is my thesis statement. And I can tell just by the stagnation in the chat that some of you are really thinking diligently about what would be a good thesis statement for this. While you're doing that, I'm going to just outline our first introductory paragraph here, which has 3 parts: the hook, the background, and the thesis. Okay. And Kesra, now you can think of a hook to start our introductory paragraph. Okay, now you can think of that hook. Okay, I'm going to write my hook up there. I'm still waiting for those thesis statements. Don't worry if I'm moving a little bit ahead. The hook, for those of you who don't know, is an interesting factual statement, usually about the topic, which catches the reader's attention or attentions. Okay. And I'll show you what a hook looks like. This is what my hook would be for this. Every year, millions of people complete standard tests of English worldwide. Okay, that would be my hook. All right. Rekha's got her thesis up. Rekha says, although there have been certain arguments that favor this compulsory exam as for profits in terms of cost and difficulty, in my perspective, these are essential to acknowledge people's language skills. Okay, Rekha, I think you're close, but not quite on target yet. Asta says, there is speculation that most English exams are a tool for making money, as they are quite expensive as well as difficult to pass in first attempt. I don't think you need the in first attempt, Asta. That's too much detail, but you have some really nice writing for the thesis. I believe that however, so Asta, instead of the pass in the first attempt, use a conjunction to show opposition. So, however, or nevertheless, okay? Nevertheless, I believe that they empower immigrants and, okay? So, Asta, you're on the right track, all right? You have some beautiful writing. Just make sure to use a conjunction of contrast for your thesis there, all right? Munzir says, some individuals ascertain that these standard tests of English are meant for making money because they require a lot of hard study. However, in my point of view, these are essential to test students' abilities. Okay, Munzir, I think you're on the right track. I think the second half of your own opinion needs a little bit of a polish. But you're going in the right direction. And I know this is a long thesis, so it might not even fit completely into the chat. Farhan, careful. We're not specifically talking about IELTS here. We're talking about English exams. So TOEFL is another one. TOEIC is another one. CELTA is another one. There's a lot of different standard tests of English. So Farhan says, IELTS is a big business these days. While there are some experts, the market is full of quacks who make the validity, Farhan, I would say, make the validity of these exams doubtful. Not the reputation, but the validity, okay? Valid, validity. That's the word that you're looking for there, Farhan, instead of reputation. All right. Otherwise, that's great. I think there was a bit of a lag there in the chat. Aigul says, despite the fact that some people are sure that modeled English tests are for business because they are expensive and challenging, comma, I consider that foreigners need to pass such exams to be comfortable. Aigul, you're on the right track. Just be careful with double negatives. Your sentence starts with despite the fact. That is your conjunction of opposition. So don't use whereas, because then you have two negatives. So you want just one. Despite the fact, and then after the word challenging, Aigul, put a comma, and then just continue with I consider that. Okay, then it's clear. I hope that's understandable, Aigul. Okay, Anthony says, in my point of view, it should not be English proficiency as mandatory people who immigrate from countries whose medium of instruction is English. Okay. Anthony, I think that's an opinion rather than a thesis. So that would be maybe somewhere in a body paragraph. Bagzod says, although many individuals suppose that such tests are for making a profit, as they are both expensive and challenging, I do believe that these tests are essential for governments, which make people responsible for themselves rather than authorities. Yeah, Bagzod, that absolutely works. As long as you can clearly explain that, it works just fine. Definitely. Okay? That'll do the trick. All right, students, here is my thesis again. Although, and I can tell now, I Google Bagzod, and a lot of students who watch these classes regularly, this is to all of our viewers, you'll notice that their thesis statements are quite similar to what I have, and these are the band 7 plus thesis statements. So if you're looking for that band 7 or higher, 8, 9, you need this kind of thesis, not this essay will discuss both sides and give my opinion, okay? That type of thesis has zero value. So here, although some people believe normalized tests of English are for profit, as these exams are expensive and difficult, in my opinion, they are necessary to empower students and immigrants to make money and feel comfortable. Parallel grammar form, right? Make money, feel comfortable. Okay, so obviously, the reader knows what these paragraphs will be about and what my position is in the essay. Okay, and then we have the introductory paragraph. Every year, millions of people complete standard tests of English worldwide. It's true. Anybody know how many people do IELTS, general or academic, currently each year? Anybody have an idea of how many IELTS exams are written annually in 2017, 18, 19, just for fun? Okay, and then now hook. Okay. Castro says millions. Igul says, I have no idea. Last I checked, the number is at 3 million. It's roughly 3 million. And it's growing, so it could be more now, Farhan, absolutely. Last time I checked, it was 3 million. But it could be more. Okay. So it's definitely big business, but it's not without purpose. So the background is explaining to your reader what you're talking about and why it's important. Okay. All right. Yep, Pachu, you're right. 3 million every year. All right. So background. So what are we talking about? Okay. So there are several standard tests of English, such as IELTS, TOEFL, and TOEIC, that are designed to measure a student's ability to comprehend and communicate orally or verbally and literally. Okay, so this is my definition, all right? Your introduction should always clearly define for your reader and show the reader that you understand what you're talking about and you want to show them, you know, what you're talking about. So there are several standard tests of English, such as IELTS, TOEFL, and TOEIC, that are designed to measure a student's ability to comprehend and communicate verbally and literally. Depending on a candidate's performance, they are allowed to proceed to school, work, or to immigrate, or not. Okay, that's the importance of the question. So why are we talking about this question of it's just for business or it's not? Well, it's because these exams have a huge impact on individuals' lives, right? So then, after the background comes the thesis. And for the thesis, if you've written a good thesis, you can just put in the thesis at the end of the introductory paragraph. So this is a Band 8, Band 9 introduction. And yeah, there's the PTE, the UKVI. You don't need to write all of them, students. And students, don't write words like ETC or and so on, okay? So don't do that, okay? So don't do things like this. There are several standard tests of English, such as IELTS, TOEFL, and TOEIC, and so on. It's unnecessary. And so on or ETC has 0 value. Sometimes I see students doing that. It's useless. It doesn't get you points. You're just wasting your time and your word count writing and so on. You don't need it, okay? In university, professors circle this word and go, not needed, what do you mean? Okay? So just don't write it, right? If as long as you have 2, 3 mentioned, that's fine. Okay. Begza, there's probably over a dozen. There's all kinds of English exams, all right? So this is, again, a Band 8, Band 9 introduction. Every year, millions of people complete standard tests of English worldwide. There are several standard tests of English, such as IELTS, TOEFL, and TOEIC, that are designed to measure a student's ability to comprehend and communicate verbally and literally. Depending on a candidate's performance, they are allowed to proceed to school, work, or to immigrate, or not. Although some people believe normalized tests of English are for profit, as these exams are expensive and difficult, in my opinion, they are necessary to empower students and immigrants to make money and feel comfortable. So here is my point 1. Okay, people believe that these tests are for profit because they're expensive and difficult. This is point number 1. And then this here is my point number 2. Okay, now notice that point 1 is the side I don't agree with. And this here is agree with. Okay, so it's not by accident that I've set it up in such a way. I want this to be my first paragraph, and I want this to be my second paragraph. Why? Why do I want the side that I disagree with to be body paragraph 1? And why do I want the side that I agree with to be body paragraph 2? Why do you think I did that, students? So why do I want it that way? Why not the other way? So why don't I say that these tests are necessary to empower students and immigrants to make money feel comfortable, even though some people believe that they're for making money as they're expensive and difficult? So why didn't I write it that way? Why didn't I write it the opposite way? Why did I write it so that this is first, this is second? Can anybody tell me that? Okay. Yeah, so Begzad says to end up with my opinion, as we want to make it clear for the examiner. We don't want to confuse them about our position. And when we're arguing, we should always finish with the side that we believe, because we want our listener or our audience to remember the side that we support. Exactly, Kasra. We want to give a last and lasting impression for the reader or for the audience. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the logic. Okay. And paragraph 1 may be shorter, Manzir. That's also true. Okay. So paragraph 1 could be shorter because it's the side that I don't agree with, and don't necessarily need to information to make that clear. All right, students, so let's start body paragraph 1 together now. So body paragraph 1 starts with a topic sentence that is taken from this first thesis point. Okay, so for that, you basically just paraphrase your thesis point 1 with a bit of detail. Okay, so body 1 starts with a topic sentence. And your topic sentence is simply paraphrase and detail point 1 of the thesis. Okay. So here we go. Okay, do the same. By the way, don't just watch me type the topic sentence, but also come up with your own, okay? I want you to learn to fish. I don't just want to give you a fish, okay? So come up with your own topic sentence while I'm doing the same, all right? So let's do this together. All right, again, topic sentence. I'm just taking the idea of the first point and then expanding it here. Okay, so I just wrote, many individuals, often test candidates, feel that English tests are that required English tests are a good way for governments to earn money from ambitious individuals. These exams, okay, then comes the explanation. So these exams are quite expensive, such as the IELTS, which costs around $300 US, and challenging to pass at a high level. Therefore, many people spend thousands of dollars before they succeed. Okay, so that's my explanations. Okay. Susmit Reddy says these exams are lucrative for the governments and they have exorbitant prices. Bagzad, okay, that's good. Susmit, that's a good start for your topic sentence, okay? Bagzad says many candidates are usually required to know at least upper intermediate level of English, which takes half a year of study by applying 3 to 4 hours of study each day. Okay, Begzod, careful with some missing words there. All right. Patricia, you're asking me if we need to add the word government into the thesis. Not necessarily. It's understood from the introduction. So it's okay. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So these exams are quite expensive, such as the IELTS, which costs around $300 US, and challenging to pass at a high level. Therefore, many people spend thousands of dollars before they succeed. For instance, my friend Abdul spent over $2,000 before he finally got a band 7 so that he could continue his master's studies in Canada. That's my example. Okay. All right. So moving along nicely here. All right, students. And then a connecting or concluding sentence. And you want to keep that simple. I would just do a sentence like this. Nevertheless, these exams serve a very important purpose for both the individual and the institutions where they are required. Okay, so that would be my connecting sentence. All right, Kestra says, certain people, mostly those who failed in these tests, express that the government's sole reason for making these tests mandatory is money, without taking affordability and difficulty of these exams into consideration. Kestra, that's really nice. Nice writing, Kestra, by the way. Good writing. Okay, very impressive. Rekha says, much of mankind believes that these types of standard exams of English are just to make money from potential candidates. To get a required band score, a student has to work hard and spend time to achieve their goals. Okay, that's good, Rekha. So you're off to a good start as well. I like it. Just watch your word choice. Igul says, a variety of English exam centers are organized to make a profit by testing language ability of humans. Sure, not all can afford such exams as they are expensive and cost around $300. Igul, good, okay, good. You're on the right track as well. I'm really happy to hear so many read so many nice sentences. You're all using good connecting words. You're using quantitative language. It's fantastic. I'm really happy to see such great improvement in your writing. Okay. Susmit says, based on empirical research, around 2.5 million spend their hard-earned money to sit these exams in pursuit of passing with high grades. Passing with flying colors, Susmit, I wouldn't use it in the IELTS. Yes, it's an expression, but it's very colloquial to pass with flying colors. It's a bit awkward to read in a technical essay. So good for understanding the expression, Susmit, ready, but don't use it in the actual task 2, okay? It's not the right place. Task 1 in the letter writing, if it's an informal letter, you can use it. Like if you're writing a letter to your friend explaining that you passed the IELTS exam with flying colors, that would be a good place to use that expression, Susmit, okay? But not in task 2. All right, so that's body paragraph 1, and then we continue with body paragraph 2, which is my argument. Okay, so this is where we continue with what I believe. Now, students, unfortunately, I've run out of time, a little bit of technical difficulties today, and bit short on time as a result. So my challenge is write this essay, send it to me by email, adrian@gieltshelp.com. I will also finish the essay on my end, and then I'll post it to the community board, okay? As soon as I get a chance, I'll put it up on our community board so you have a full essay example. Again, remember, here's the question. Some governments believe that standard tests of English are necessary for immigration, work, and school, while many people feel that this is just for making money and should not be mandatory. Discuss both views, give your own opinion. Okay, so that's the original question. In the next class, I will be doing another task too. That will be a members chat class on our Academic English Help channel in 30 minutes, roughly. Make sure to visit our websites, gieltshelp.com and aehelp.com. Join by clicking the big red button there, or on General IELTS with the green background there. Do yourself a favor, learn the right strategies, get the right materials, really improve your band scores. We guarantee that you improve your band scores if you study with our website. If you don't, we'll refund your money. All right, students. Thank you for joining. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for working through the technical difficulty. And have a great rest of your weekend and a good start to the week. I will be back on Wednesday, same time on this channel, with IELTS speaking practice and examples. Keep up the good work, students. Bye for now.